Welcome back. This is Backstage in Arizona in our interview segment, and with me is one of the co-hosts for last month's show, and I wanted to go into a little more depth, Mr. Dave Pratt of KUPD.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks for having me out.
Well, let's get into the serious side of Dave Pratt.
Oh, no, I never do this.
How did you get started in radio?
Well, I started in a very small town up in Nevada. The name of it's Elko, Nevada. I know you've heard of it. They have a lot of big events there. Macy's Parade was going to move there. It's only about 10,000 people. And they had a small station, and the only type of music on the top 40 or rock and roll level that they were playing, it's a country and western town, okay, was Casey Kasem's top 40. So I was rolling Casey Kasem's top 40 and just doing the insert saying, K-E-L-K, Elko, Nevada. And I did that for 2 years. I got a scholarship to ASU in broadcasting. I went to ASU for 3 years, and during that time I did stand-up comedy. I realized I certainly can't support myself at that. So I got into radio. And the way I got into radio was a memo came through the ASU college. And it was sitting on the bulletin board, and it said, anybody interested in being part of the research staff at KUPD KQ, please contact John Roberts, and had a phone number to call. So I took down the memo, and I rewrote the memo saying, the position at KUPD KQ has already been filled. Please don't bother calling John Roberts. Thank you very much. Our chosen man is Dave Pratt. Thank you, John Roberts, 98 KUPD. So nobody else applied for the job except myself, and that's how I got into KUPD, doing research. Did research there for about a year, did weekends, then it progressed from there all nights, morning program, and to the Valley's Worst disc jockey, and that's where we are now.
Valley's Worst. How do you attribute your success, your following?
I don't know if you can call it success to one person. Let's call it 98 KUPD success as far as the ratings go. They're doing real well for us right now. The following, they're just bunch of crazy people out there that want something to do. There's nobody else in Arizona right now doing anything on the radio other than music-wise. I'm talking disc jockey-wise. There's nobody doing anything, raising any controversial bits. Nobody that has the guts to stand up against the Jacksons right now. So those people are looking for something to do on the weekends. We always have Sex Machine band parties. I think they're just looking for something to do, and they want somebody to follow. They want somebody to have a lot of fun with. And as much as they follow me, I follow them too.
You've been compared to Jonathan Bradmeyer, and trying to follow in his footsteps. You seem to attract a very strong audience as of your anti-Jackson concert.
Well, first of all, as far as Bradmeyer goes, I respect him immensely. We're good friends, and I like him a lot. But I don't see how the heck people could compare me and Bradmeyer. He was completely different than I am. My stick is completely different. I have the red and the Sex Machines. Just because two people happen to be a little bit nutsos on the air doesn't mean they're the same. I don't see how you can compare Richard Pryor to Joan Rivers, okay?
They're both comedians.
Even though they're both comedians. The only similarity between Jonathan Bradmeyer and myself are I do mornings in Phoenix, so did he, and I happen to be a wacko on the radio, and so was he. We both had bands, but there's disc jockeys all over the country that have bands. Jonathan and I, we both respect each other. We get along good. We did a halftime of a Wranglers football game together, but I don't see how they can compare us. If you ask John or myself, we wouldn't compare ourselves to one another at all.
You've immersed yourselves in many controversies with the Gazette, with the New Times. You told me one of the writers that has been getting down on you in the New Times was at the concert and is going to do a rebuttal story. Well, I still have a beef to air with the New Times. They just don't seem to be in tune with what's happening in Arizona, and they haven't been giving you very good press.
You know what the New Times seems like to me? I appreciate that we have that outlet in the Valley to have a periodical weekly that tells where local bands are playing. It has some of the rock and roll gossip. But I don't think they're fair to many outlets in the Valley. I'll tell you what the New Times reminds me of. Did you ever have a kid on your block that wanted to be a journalist? All right, and he has a typewriter in his basement, and he goes down there and he types up stories, and then he gets like 20 copies made, and he takes them around to the kids on the neighborhood. That's what New Times is. They're a little clique. They only like certain people. They only will get their name behind certain organizations, certain companies, certain media outlets, and they won't pay any attention to anybody else. And when anybody else does anything, all they do is write bad things about them. Okay, for example, the Jackson deal. I thought that was funnier than hell, and I feel that way. I made the Jackson rap. And I thought, hey, they fire me, so what? I'll go somewhere else. But I'm going to stick up for our side of the rock and roll against the Jacksons. I don't particularly like the Jacksons. And New Times, they didn't even do a rebuttal article on my side. They just ripped me. They called me a flaming whatever. They just ripped after me. I don't think there was reason for that. The thing that made me bad about that, Joel, is they didn't call me all week to even get my comments on the whole thing. They just ripped me. Well, then you know what happened. It was Friday night when we packed 8,750 people. You were there at the Anti-Jackson show with the Sex Machine Band. What a great time. And a New Times came out and they said, oh, you know, we're sorry, and we'll do another article on you. We didn't realize you had such a following.
Well, I wish we had more time to talk. It's getting on the time. Dave, thanks a lot for coming down.
Thank you, Joel.
Being a part of the show, and anytime we can help do co-promotion together, let me know.
I'm ready for it.
We'll be back right after this. Thank you.